styles. Like I said, like you might love it. Like you might do it and you love it. So, and if you do, you know, you can incorporate some of it. Why not? I've used it. I've taught some, like occasionally I'll do a power yoga class and I'll throw in the sequence of those poses once we're warm. So like I'll do a vinyasa and then I'll go left side king dancer. You know what I mean? And finish that side. And then I'll go vinyasa and then I'll do, standing hit to knee or Padangustasana. And then chaturanga, up dog, down dog. And then I'll do tree or whatever. And then chaturanga, up dog, down dog. And then I'll do Garudasana. You know what I mean? And then back out, chaturanga, up dog, down dog. And then I'll do the next pose, whatever it was. Let's say, side angle, which we do. Chaturanga, up dog, down dog. Balancing stick, which is what he called Warrior 3, So you can do a whole flow based on those poses, so it's a flow 26. You could do that. And there would be another set in your quiver of poses. Or if you met someone who's a Bikram aficionado, and they're like, look, I really just want to do this Hot 26. Fine. You could teach them the sequence of poses if you wanted to. You'd have to brush up on it and I would recommend you do the class for 2 weeks straight or something. So you really you get it. But once you're teaching poses, and they don't change that much. Like I can teach a Hot 26 class. I may not be as on point with the Hot 26 poses as someone who's taught it for 10, 15 years, but I definitely teach it, and to an average student, they wouldn't be able to tell the difference because the poses are the poses. Unless they only practice with Bikram, but if they practice with Bikram, they should go to a Bikram studio and do it, right? So that's the way that works. But again, now the other thing too that happened with Bikram studios is most of them now did what I did in the very beginning. I disassociated from it because I didn't want to be involved in his karma. I felt there was going to be a karmic attachment. Sometimes you just know, I don't know, I just knew that there was going to be a karmic attachment had I followed that teacher, just because it was so blatantly obvious to me. Okay, so, any questions on that?
No.
No? I don't want to discourage you though, so again, see if you like it, okay? So don't let my opinion is, not crazy about the set, obviously. Doesn't mean though, I don't want to discourage you guys from still learning it, though, if you want to, okay? So I want to make that very clear. Just because Steve doesn't like it doesn't mean you shouldn't know it. It's still a good, valid set. And as a matter of fact, I taught it. I taught Hot 26 for a while, so don't get me wrong. I did teach it for, I don't know, a while. I don't remember how long, but a couple months I taught it. Because I felt it's valid, I'll do it,
Yeah.
When did you design your flow?
This one now is believe it or not, it took me 4 or 5 years of revisions to get it to where it is now, to where I distilled it and changed it and changed it and changed it. So that was probably 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And then I've been, I think, teaching it in its current form, or really close to its current form, for about somewhere around 7 or 8 years.
Okay, and who inspired you to make that flow? Who were
this one? It's based on the Ashtanga style.
Okay.
It's the Southern Indian flow.
Okay.
So it's a different lineage. It's Southern Indian Patabi Joyce, Krishnamacharya lineage.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a Southern Indian style versus Bikram was from Calcutta, I believe. So that's more of a Calcuttan style versus a Mysore style. But this set, honestly, it's probably 10 years old from, if I were to just average it, it's probably 10 years, but I had revised it quite a bit. For instance, I have a 90-minute version of this set. But nobody does 90-minute classes anymore.
I want to do a 90-minute of this.
Stephen Hazard used to do a great Sunday, the 90-minute Sunday.
I know, I was going to say, I would love to do a 90-minute of this.
No, we did. I did a 90-minute. I used to do 90 minutes all the time. Matter of fact, all of my classes were 90 minutes before the millennial generation. The millennials don't want 90 minutes. I'm
Really?
telling you.
I kind of
They
like
don't.
90 minutes.
That Sunday
Most.
class was always so full. I remember, and it was the 10:30, but I think we started at 10 because it
10.
was,
I would start it at 10, so you'd be
Yeah.
done at 11:30.
and it was so good. And he did a longer sound bath at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have more
Sometimes I
time. The
wish-
thing is like when you have more time,
Yeah.
you have more time. But like you might like it. A few people liked it, but like not everyone was coming. I'm telling you. Like yeah, at first it had a good following, but over time, like the millennials didn't like it. Like started getting the older groups were coming, which is fine, but it wasn't enough people to sustain the class.
Yeah.
And I gotta sustain the studio because, you know, if it's not.
Livelihood.
You know, if I got 4 people and it went, I'm telling you, like it went from being kind of big, like, you know, 15 people, and then it had 10, and then it had 4, and then it had 8, and then it had 2, and then it had 5, and then it had 1, or whatever. Like it just started like, I was looking at the graph and it was just going, you know, like it was just going down. So.
And then the moment you made it 1 hour, or like
The 1 hour was like today, like we had whatever.
and people attendance became regular.
Yeah, it started coming back up. Yeah, literally like it went like that, and then now today, what do we have? I don't know. Whatever, but it went like, the graph goes like that. 90 minutes, 75 minutes, had a tick up, and then 60 minutes, it went back up to like a regular class. Yeah, it just went like that, literally. Is what it is. I don't decide what stays. You guys decide.
Yeah.
That's right. Remember that. That's really important. Like, it's really important to know.
Your students like, not what you like.
I mean, there's a balance to it. I mean, obviously, I choose what I decide to teach. But, you know, yeah, in the end, the students decide.
Do you notice more new students taking the regular flow or coming for Sculpt as their first class?
Some of that's related to the time, but still the flow. I mean, it's still a yoga studio predominantly. So I think the weights are a little bit intimidating. Yeah, I think so. I think it's intimidating.
Usually for the more fit people is what it is, I think.
Yeah, it takes a certain personality to even go into
That's
a
so
sculpt
true.
class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yoga's, the regular yoga is way different. It's so different.
Yeah, like even for me, and I'm not a traditionalist. I'm just an older teacher, but I'm not a traditionalist. I've always been a reformer. So that's why I'll do the sculpt, or I'll teach even Bikram style, whatever, you know, the Hot 26 styles. I'll even teach those, not Bikram, the 26, just to try it out. I want to talk a little bit now, so moving forward. These two are together, sort of. There's the inner experience, escaping the trap of samsara. They're kind of interrelated. So what is the inner experience for you? Let's say, what is the inner experience? When someone says, like, have you had an inner experience from doing yoga?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love it. The inner experience for me is just like the peace and the calm, and I would say like the centralized focus, knowing that I have 1 hour or 90 minutes to just be peaceful and calm and do this one thing where I don't have to think. I just have to move.
Okay. Suki?
Yeah, I think, like how Angelica said, it's like an hour of like me time, and I think a lot of people come from that. It's like, oh, I don't have to think about things that I have to do, and it's a time where I don't have to rely on the past. It's just for myself, for my body, for myself. That's what I really like about flow study, because I can concentrate on myself.
Yeah.
I really value like the honesty with myself, because I think like outside of the safe yoga space, sometimes it's hard to be real with myself and like not get lost in my expectations of self. But I feel like when I commit myself to the only expectation being like moving through space and committing to the present moment, it helps me cultivate greater appreciation for myself that I wouldn't be able to have if I was like tethered to these esoteric expectations that I hang on to outside of yoga.
What do you mean by esoteric expectations?
Just like imposed by like
unreal.
society, like I need to look this way, or like
Right.
oh, I have this dance edition coming up, I have to be like this, or like
Right.
I'm doing so bad at work because I haven't published like 3 articles. Like it's like I can't be defined constantly by
Right.
my productivity and like being in yoga and committing to like this is what is here and I can always complete this.
Right.
That sense of completion is like a fulfillment that I can't derive from like completing emails or like having stronger feet. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's like a form of meditation for me.
Okay.
The first time I ever did yoga, I was it was a form of release. I remember leaving class and I'm like, it was hot yoga to be specific. I left and I'm like, wow, like I feel brand new, you know, kind of just like a rebirth. And yeah, you come to the mat and you set an intention, and I like that. It's just it's meditation. It calms me, brings me peaceful. Be mindful too. You know, I feel like yoga is not just it's not just physical. It's so much more than that. It's very spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a deeper.
It is,
It's a deeper
you know.
thing.
You don't have to. Not everyone has to take it as spiritual, but yeah, for me, it's very spiritual.
I think for most of us it is
Yeah.
though, honestly. Like even people that come to me, like even like my friends or whatever that are, let's say atheists or whatever, it's still spiritual for them in their own way. They just don't like it's inner time. It's it's peaceful time.
They say
whatever.
different, right?
Just
They
a
don't
different
say,
word.
They don't say spiritual. They
They just say another
me time.
right, me time or whatever. They just call it different things.
Yeah.
So and then there's this idea of of the whole. How many of you have heard the term samsara? Have you heard that term?
Siddhartha.
So, samsara.
He talks about samsara.
Yeah, so samsara is depicted as like the like a dragon chasing its tail. That's samsara. So have you ever seen like a dragon? There's the tail's like in his mouth, kind of, but it's like right there. You ever seen that? It's a circle,
Yeah.
right? So that's samsara. So it's like in English. Look at this beetle, by the way. In English, it's the.
He travels.
Did he really?
Yeah, he likes to hear interviews.
In English, it's the we would call it like the rat race, kind of. Or like somebody on a the hamster wheel, the hamster wheel. So like the faster you run, the faster it spins, and you keep spinning and you
You're in
keep
the
running
same
faster,
place.
and there's a carrot right there, and you're running after it. Has anybody ever felt that before?
Every day.
In life, right? Every day, right? So like I was just talking to my wife because like we're in this process of moving and working on our getting the house ready and all this. I'm like, and she's like, and when we get that done, I said, yeah, there will be another thing. there just will be. That's part of life. So escaping the trapping of samsara. So there is this idea though that maybe life is predominantly like that, right? That's the karma of living this life. Is like right now, like you think like going to Oklahoma would be the worst thing, right, for you. But in fact, we don't really know. Like you don't know. You might go to Oklahoma and find like whatever, some cultural center that you like fall in love with, and there's like a poet society, and there's a this and a that and whatever. There's like all these things.
Even there's no Korean.
But maybe even that would be like you'd find all these other these other styles of food that you like even more, right? We just don't know. But there's always this idea in life of like this unknown, unfulfilled thing, right? It's not finished. Like that's what it really is. It's the unknown. That's what Oklahoma represents in a way, right? It's really that. Have you ever been to Oklahoma? Okay. So isn't it interesting that like we've all decided for you. By the way, I've never either.
Okay.
But we've all decided. Have you been?
I've not been.
Have you been?
I've driven through
Okay.
it.
You have. Okay. All right, so we'll leave you out of the conversation. So anyway, so we may be right, but we may be wrong, right? We don't know. Like, you don't know, because even though Lauren's been there, did you like it? Not really? Okay. She didn't like it very much, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't like it, right? So we don't know. But the point that I'm making is that even that is sort of a whirlpool. So remember the Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, right? So we talked about that as the Sanskrit aphorism. So the Sanskrit aphorism says, yoga is practiced to calm the vrittis, which means vrittis is like whirlpools. It's not mind spinning, it's just in that context, it's what it means. But it means the whirlpools. But again, just like samsara, it's spinning, right? And just like the hamster wheel is spinning, and the mind is spinning. What do you say what's the term when we say like so-and-so is, that person's a little bit
Crazy. Or
right? We go like this, right? It's a symbol. We spin. Okay, so samsara is also the spinning as well. And yoga is the inner experience, right? That doesn't mean that one necessarily negates the other. It's not denying that our lives will be a constant maintenance of flow of some kind. Things will be breaking and we'll be fixing them, right? Life will be changing and we'll be trying to put it back together the way it was, or whatever, or we'll be trying to, take it down so we could build something new. Or like right now, I'm trying to fix my house to sell it, but then there will be another house that I'm going to then have to buy and fix up and do that, or whatever again, right? And we think once we're settled, it was, whatever it is, then that thing. So there's this constant idea that we're almost trained to as little kids. Like right now, when that drone stops flying above my head, I'll be more peaceful somehow, right? But there will just be another thing in the end, right? And so yoga practices like yoga, because I don't want to say yoga's got this monopoly on on inner peace or whatever. But practices like these tell us, they say, you know what? Slow down. Focus on what is right now. Because this is life, right? Or there's a saying in India, which doesn't make sense in this context, but it's like this. That's the saying. The statement is, quote, like this, unquote. And, Rumi writes about it too a little bit in one of his poems, and I forget the exact how it was because I haven't read Rumi in a very long time, 10, 15 years, maybe longer. But it's something like this. Why do the flowers come out in May? Like this. Why does my lover leave me every time? Like this. Why do I feel there's this constant yearning for stability? Like this. Why is, Hot 26 doing so well in the world? Like this. Why does money and power corrupt people? Like this. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on, right? So when we do yoga, it brings us back to that zone of the feeling of oneness, the feeling of completion, right? The feeling, which is not a concept in a preacher's mouth, but it's actually a feeling that is your own, right? Which is a very different experience because it's an inner experience, right? And that's why it has so much impact. Again, that's an opinion, that part of it, but it has impact on our lives, I believe, because it has that inner experience where it makes sense of the world. And when you do it over and over again, the samskaras are no longer just inherited from your parents. The samskaras being the deeply ingrained patterns of thinking They're not just inherited from your parents and from their parents and from their parents, which is your past lives in a way, if you think about it. Not a mystical thing, but literally, you inherited some of the beliefs of your parents. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it's a fact. Some of the traditions, right? Some of the culture, some of your tastes in food, some of the way you like to sit, some of the things that you like or dislike, they are of your parents. But there are things in this life that will then have influence over you. And the patterns that you now are creating through doing practices like yoga, meditation, experiences like going to sweat lodges or maybe other psychotropic experiences or whatever you're doing. I don't know what they are. I know that like I can speak from my experience of doing, for instance, let's say, doing sweat lodges and even DMT, things like that, these really intense psychotropic experiences, although I don't support them very much, like the drugs now, just because of the way that I live my life currently, but they can be very life-altering. And they can kind of rewire some of the old samskaras, or you could say it can burn some of the karma away a little bit. You know, you can kind of like move it. I don't know, like those experiences do allow you to step free from your past, right? And so these practices, I think, will do that. And that is why I like to talk a little bit about yoga and the inner experience, and that what you are offering. So what a yoga teacher offers, aside from the physical brawn and the extreme athletic ability that yoga, especially power yoga, is, it also offers an inner experience and the escaping of the bondage of society and the bondage of life in a way, right? Because we are bound here as human beings. Like we have, whether we like it or not, we're not totally free. The fact that you're married, for instance, that is also a form, it is a bond. The fact that you have a body means you have to take care of it. You have to bathe it, clean it, clothe it, right?
I was shopping for it today.
Shopping for it, maintain it, stretch it, tighten it, right? Make it lift weights, doctor it. But not only just one doctor, but there's like a foot doctor and an eye doctor and a nose doctor and a throat doctor, and right? So there is all that stuff. But what yoga gives us is clarity and at times the ability to step away from the bondage of that and society for a brief moment of time. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Have you guys seen any bats?
We haven't seen any, but there's birds around there.
No bats? No bats?
We haven't seen any bats, but this is the Bat Cave from the movie.
You know, they come at night, right?
Yeah.
They come out.
Like at 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
7 o'clock.
Daddy, look, there's a circle of rocks.
There may be some, if you're lucky.
They might be sleeping. There's a circle of rocks over here. Let's make a snowman out of rocks. Rockland.
All right. Do you guys want to, any observations or any ideas about that? No?
Oh, tell me that's so hot.
I just wanted to share that. This is also a reminder for us.
It was enlightening and certainly a different perspective, and I like what you said about the past lives, because I personally don't believe in like a past life, but I think living out the karma that we witness in our lives is like it is a past life, you know, living out your parents' karma, your grandparents' karma. You know.
But even that is, you know, if you think about it, like that stuff, those traditions are passed down and they are from past lives.
Yeah.
They're just not, it doesn't have to always be past life, like your soul,
Yeah,
and that
like
you
a meta-
remember that your soul was in that body as a princess or whatever,
Yeah.
and then now it's not, and whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be that mystical.
Yeah.
I think that it can be for some people, but not always really it's that mystical, you know. So yeah, I do think that it's that. And also, like, if your parents we're super healthy and we're wonderful, then great. But not everyone's parents are. So, you know, having other practices to like evolve as you're being human will then make you evolve, and hopefully then you will make a better world. Like for me, I always vowed to make my kids' lives better than what my own upbringing was, to provide in a better way. You know what I mean? All right, so I think that concludes, because the rest of this is the learning experience versus academic and motivation and learning processes and things like that, which we'll talk a little bit about that as well, which is literally comes from The Art of Learning by Josh Waitzkin. So there's another book that I recommend strongly. It's called The Art of Learning, and it's by Josh Waitzkin, Waitzkin. It's not listed. Oh, it is listed here. There it is. So read Josh Waitzkin. So that's the curriculum. That book is very straightforward. But what it does do for you as well, both as a learner and a teacher, is it allows you to really understand the breakdown of processes of learning. Okay, and we'll go into that after we practice. So why don't we take a little bathroom break, and then do you want to? You have to go to the bathroom. Let's take a little break, and then we'll come back. Or we can even explore too. There's some cool grassy areas too that are really nice.
Beetles can't hurt you. No.